Now, the Lands Ministry recently concluded a training workshop for government valuers on the challenges involved in their work. The workshop was intended to equip the valuers ahead of moves to amend the laws on valuation. To help us appreciate this and more, we are joined by the Acting Assistant Commissioner for Valuation, that is Andrew Nyumba, and he joins us right now. Good afternoon, Andrew.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Andrew, we would like to know, what are the main issues affecting government valuers that your workshop was able to resolve?
Before I go into the issues, I believe it's pertinent that I give you a context on what the office does and how we go about our daily duties.
Go ahead.
The Office of the Chief Government Valuer has a huge mandate of advising government on all valuation matters, which can be split largely into two clusters. That is revenue generation and cost saving. In terms of revenue generation, the office annually contributes about 500 billion to the National Treasury from assessment of stamp duty, capital gains taxes, and others. And in terms of cost saving, our UNRA report recently showed that by involving the office, they save up to about 33 billion.
33 billion shillings.
33 billion shillings, and from saving on consultancies and also redundancy costs and finance costs where the money is borrowed.
Indeed. Speaking of finance costs, Mr. Nyumba, there are also concerns that the government, or particularly Minister of Finance, is actually frustrating your efforts in that regard. We are talking about situations whereby someone has to be compensated for their land and it takes too long. What is being done here?
What is being done, there are several factors.
But first of all, is there frustration from the Ministry of Finance and the government?
I wouldn't say there is frustration, because it is a process that involves several steps that have to be taken and ensured that they're fulfilled and that the adequate amount.
Indeed. So why do these processes keep stalling?
I could say it comes from a myriad of factors. One is look at, say, the Office of the Chief Government Valuer, which is mandated to advise on compensation amounts. We've been having a challenge of inadequate staff, challenge of inadequate legal framework, and in terms of standards, in terms of the valuation bill, and all these impact the final payment of compensation. And also, in terms of staff, we've been also having inadequate capacity to undertake all these valuations in a very timely and accurate manner.
There have also been concerns about the nature of land value in various parts of the country. Andrew Nyumba, we would like to know, have you developed a database that is so uniform in that people are not being cheated out of the right value of their land?
First and foremost, land is land and property are heterogeneous commodities in that you may not have the same value for land in different areas.
Mr. Nyumba, you're telling me right now there's no database that is uniform that the people can go to see those land prices so that they are not cheated?
We're actually developing a land valuation data bank, as well as system, so that we can have consistency across the country, as you're saying. But these are efforts currently being spearheaded by the ministry, thanks to the permanent secretary and the minister, because we've also got some support from the World Bank under the USMID additional funding program.
And finally, Andrew Nyumba, we have individuals who might want to use their property as collateral during these COVID-19 times. What kind of advice would you have for such a group of people? I would advise them to look out for professional valuers, because we have masqueraders out there, and they can go to the Surveyors Registration Board, as well as the Institution of Surveyors of Uganda, for advice on the right people to contact to ensure that they have professional services. Yes. And of course, we can't wait for that new database so that people are not cheated out of the right value of their land. Thank you, Andrew Nyumba.
You're welcome.
Indeed, you're still watching NTV at 1, number 1 for key information. Moving on. Key service delivery points in the island district of Kalangala have improved despite the area's stunted population growth. Now, this has been detailed in a new report by the Social Services Committee of the